we got the Buffalo Bills versus the San Francisco 49ers. This is on Monday night. 49ers, interestingly, thanks to the Arizona Cardinals losing a game that was winnable for them, and the Arizona Cardinals do not have an easy close to the schedule. San Francisco's still in the wild card hunt, and they're one of the more dangerous teams if the defense is playing. They got a win against the Rams. That was huge, man. That was huge for them. I don't love the matchup this week, but if there's a team that could give Josh Allen and the way he's playing football, if there's a team that could give him some issues, it's the 49ers and what they want to do. This is a really interesting matchup to me. So the Buffalo Bills, look, Josh Allen, he really is an MVP candidate. He wouldn't be my MVP vote. At this point, my MVP vote would probably be Russell Wilson, although Aaron Rodgers, with what he's doing, he's kind of working
Kyler
himself.
Murray
and
well.
Kyler Murray, but I think the Cardinals are feeding. I think they are.
Yeah,
they needed that Patriots win.
Yeah, that's a bad loss.
They needed that, and I knew it was going to be a tough game for them, but I thought they would be able to handle it, and Patriots grabbed it, and that's. I think the Cardinals really needed that game, and so like the 49ers, I think they could vault Arizona by the end of the year. Buffalo, meanwhile, I still think is the best team in the AFC East, but what are they? They're now 3 games ahead in the loss column of the Patriots, but only 1 game ahead of the Dolphins in the loss column. Buffalo's defense, I thought, played the best game of the season versus the Los Angeles Chargers, but they still gave up that long pass at the end of the game. They actually gave up 2 in a row. Now, one was negated with the very obvious pass interference penalty, but come on, man. Got to close out games, Arizona, I'll give you that one. I don't want to see that 2 weeks in a row, and I think that's a fair criticism. I know I got some thumbs down in my reactions yesterday. It's a fair criticism. You got to knock that ball down, guys. Come on. This game, I think it's going to be fun. Now, I start Josh Allen regardless just because he has running ability. If he was a pure passer, I'd be a little bit more concerned this week, but I still start him. I'm going to stay away from the running backs, although I will say this. Buffalo's running backs looked pretty good yesterday. They actually used them a little bit more. It was nice to see. Gabriel Davis, he's very impressive. I don't know what John Brown's status is, but Gabriel Davis looks like the better of those receivers. And I've been high on John Brown, probably higher than everybody in the world. But Gabriel Davis looks better to me at this point. Stephon Diggs obviously is play, even in a tough matchup. For San Francisco, I still stay away from Mullins. David, I know you like him, maybe more in daily fantasy. We'll see. I don't know. You could talk about him in a bit. Nice to see Raheem Mostert back. I think he's a safe start now. I was staying away from him against the tough Rams defense. He got in the end zone, I know that, but I didn't love the matchup, and then him coming off of first week after the IR. But I think he's a safe start now. Deebo Samuel, nice to see him blow up yesterday. And then tight end, I think, is a great matchup this week. I just don't know if it's Reed or if it's Dwelly. I'm going to go and roll the dice with Reed again. Flip the coin, but I'm going to go with Reed. Take it away, David.
Man, is it good to have Raheem Mostert back.
Yes.
I'll tell you that. He has just been sitting on that IR all year, just looking up at the rest of my team saying, I'm coming back, guys. Don't
forget about me.
I'll be back for the playoff run when it really matters. And I said, you better be Raheem because I need you. I invested a 5th-round pick into you in a lot of leagues. And so it's good to see him back. He's a must-start regardless of matchup. And the matchups are great for the San Fran 49ers going down the stretch. Buffalo this week, Washington next week. That's not spectacular. Then Dallas and Arizona 15-16. So that's good news. I don't love Nick Mullins personally. I don't love him in fantasy. I was higher on him earlier in the year. He kind of let me down a little bit this year. But I am enthused about the fact he's keeping this offense afloat. He's keeping the Raheem Mosterts afloat, the Deebo Samuels, the Ayuks. And one thing that stands out about this San Francisco 49er team to me is that they are very predictable in their wide receiver usage when one of them is out. When Ayuk or Deebo Samuel has missed a game, the other has been in automatic start. They have featured this guy. You look at Brandon Ayuk, his 2 highest scoring games of the year, both without Deebo Samuel. Week 3 against the Giants, 5 for 70 receiving, 3 for 31 and a rushing touchdown. Week 8 against Seattle, no Deebo, 8 for 91 and a touchdown, 10 targets. Week 10, no Deebo, 7 for 75, a touchdown, and 14 targets. So his 3 highest targeted games, no Deebo. His 3 highest fantasy production games, no Deebo. On the other hand, you look at Deebo, his 2 best games of the season Week 6 against the Rams, when Ayuk also had a touchdown, had 9 fantasy points himself, only 3 targets for Ayuk in that game. And then obviously this past week, no Ayuk. Debo gets 13 targets, 11 receptions, 133 yards. So when one of these guys are there, the other one is an absolute must start. And I think you can probably start them both, especially with George Kittle out. Even when Ayuk does come back, I'm excited for both of these wide receivers down the stretch, especially with their matchups, Dallas and Arizona, 15 and 16.
So let me hit you with the line here. We got Buffalo minus 2.5 on the road versus San Francisco. Who would you take?
2.5. That's not enough points for me to take San Francisco. I think I took San Fran against the Rams this past week, but
Yeah, you did.
That was very predictable for me. The division game, coming off a bye,
Getting a touchdown.
it was like their Super Bowl. This week they don't have that bye. They don't have the divisional, motivation. So I'm definitely taking Buffalo here.
This is a huge game for the 49ers. I do think that the 49ers at this point probably have to win out. Big game, but I agree. I feel like this should be Buffalo minus 3.5, not 2.5. I like Buffalo to cover, but we're going to find out a lot about both teams and where they are at this point. Like, Buffalo needs to close out this division. It's their division to win. But, they have big games against the Patriots. That's not a gimme. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers still. The Buffalo Bills do. They play the Miami Dolphins, who we know this defense, and it was only a field goal game early in the year when we didn't realize how good the Dolphins were. The Buffalo Bills need this game. This is kind of a trap game for them because the 49ers are no slouch. They better come ready to play. I'm going to take Buffalo, but it would not shock me for San Francisco to get an upset here. So I'm going to throw that out there. I am taking Buffalo, though. Let's take a stance, right? Let's not be wishy-washy. I'm going to take Buffalo. I'm going to take Buffalo. All right, we only have a few games left here, David.